Canadian food banks have seen increasing demand in recent years. From coast to coast, food banks have to reinvent themselves in order to meet the demand of those they serve. Due to rising costs of living, more people are accessing their services. Meagan Gillmore, a reporter with Canadian Affairs, joined us to provide more insight into this issue.
So the overall basic reason is an increase in cost of living and people not have people having difficulty buying their own groceries. So when you talk to people who work at food banks, food bank operators, executive directors, people who work at like provincial food bank organizations, what they'll say is what they're seeing is a change in who is coming to the food bank. So this is no longer just people who have been living in intergenerational poverty or people whose main source of income is social assistance. You're also seeing people who are from double income families coming in using a food bank temporarily or long term. And for some people, it has to do with, I only have so much money, like my budget hasn't changed, but my expenses have. So I'll pay my rent first, so I have a place to live, but I don't necessarily have enough for groceries. So then I'll be at a food bank. So one man I spoke to, Nick Johnson, who works for Food Banks BC, would say that a lot of people who are coming to the food bank for the first time are just on the fringes of maybe poverty or food insecurity. The amount of food collected during the big food drive season, which we're in right now, it's from Thanksgiving till Christmas, end of December. That amount of food is no longer lasting food banks as long as it used to. It used to give people a good foundation to go several months into the new year, sometimes even as far as like June, getting closer to summer. That's not a thing anymore. It is used up pretty quickly. In some food banks I spoke to, they've had to reduce the number of times that a person or family can come and use their services. And other food banks have responded by, let's say, if they weren't a food bank that had strict geographic catchment area of, if you live within these postal codes, then you can come use us. Some food banks who didn't have that are now implementing that. So it has changed in some cases the number of people they can serve, how much they can give them, how many times people can come. They've also seen an increase in just the different types of needs that people have. So it's no longer just food. It's also navigation, helping people navigate systems for housing and employment. And one woman I spoke to talked a lot about, becoming more of a social worker now with the needs that they're seeing clients have, and then hunger and feelings of vulnerability and instability around being able to meet your basic needs just increases that. So that does show that people who are using food banks often now are struggling with mental health concerns, lack of affordable housing. It's no longer just that they need food. But you're hearing a lot from food banks saying, what we really need, what is helpful for us is money. If you give us financial gifts that allows flexibility in what they can use. Food banks often are able to purchase more food on themselves as an organization because of different relationships that they have with grocery stores and other food suppliers. So by giving them money, they can make that stretch further because of their purchasing power. And others are experimenting with things around having donation boxes available at the food bank when people go to pick up groceries, so that if somebody who's, getting their food from the food bank, if they're able to donate financially, to give them an opportunity to do that. Some places, depending on how the food bank is structured, they'll actually have a fee that individuals may pay, a couple dollars a week or a couple dollars a month, that is offsetting some of the costs. And then there's also been talk of whether or not food banks are going to introduce more services that have a cost attached to them. So the example would be, like every other day we have food that we give up for free. And then on the other days, we essentially sell groceries at a reduced price that is not food that was donated to us, because we can't sell food that was donated to you, but groceries that we've been able to purchase at cost, and then we sell them back at a reduced price. So what you're hearing is that not just who is coming to a food bank is changing rapidly, but also what a food bank does and how it does it is going to be changing significantly in the years to come.